So the other day I finished reading Jujutsu Kaisen, so now I'm going to do a character tier list. Let's get started. Itadori. I think Yuji he's kind of boring. I don't know. I like this stuff in the Shibuya incident. That was probably the highlight of his character. Everything after that I think is, I mean, it's like fine. He's like kind of funny, but he's also kind of boring. I'd probably put him in C tier, or probably B tier to be honest. He's like perfectly fine, I think. Megumi, yeah, he's probably one of the worst characters. He doesn't, well, how could I even explain why I don't like Megumi? There is nothing interesting about him. Besides the fact that he's related to Toji, but he like never learns that or like never really cares about it. So that's not particularly interesting. I like when he laughed in the final chapter or the final like few chapters when Gojo gave him the letter. But besides that, it's like he's just the very typical like how would I even describe it? You've seen this guy a million times. It's like he's quiet, he doesn't show his emotions, he doesn't really have that much emotion. He's brooding. His technique is like kind of boring, but he does have some interesting fight. He's terrible. I don't know what to say. Okay, we don't like Megumi. Anyway, next up we have Nobara. Nobara I like a lot. She's funny, which is a big thing that carries her up really high. I loved her backstory chapter. Her backstory chapter is one of my favorite chapters in JJK, where she's just like a happy kid, you know, who's living in this town. She's playing video games. She has 2 friends and that's it. And that's all she needs. She wants a blue backpack or whatever for one day and then she gives it back. It's just fantastic. We love Nobara. Nobara is great. She's just, I mean, I just can't exaggerate how much like her light-hearted funniness just adds to the story. So I like Nobara a lot. She's great. Her power is also really cool. We like her power. And when she came back in the final fight, that was awesome. And she's like using the resonance and that's like the final thing that beats Sukuna. It's just so cool. We like it a lot. Gojo, obviously S tier. The best character in JJK, probably. I can't, no one else is coming to mind. I feel like it has to be JJK. I mean, sorry, bro. Gojo and JJK are like synonymous with each other in mind, but he's the coolest. He's the strongest. I mean, he's not really the strongest. I guess Sukuna is stronger, but you know, Gojo is just the damn coolest character ever. Infinity is like the coolest concept ever. The hidden inventory where we see him younger and he's just like a completely different character because he hasn't like mastered his technique. It hasn't gone through the stuff with Geto that kind of changed him. Whenever he shows up, it's always going to be something fun. It's just Gojo is Gojo. You know why I like him. He's fantastic. What can I say? I'm sure you like him too. Maki. I think she's fine. She's probably similar to Yuji a little bit, where it's like she has some interesting stuff. Like the stuff with her sister is like some, you know, despite how much I make fun of it, it's somewhat interesting. Like I like the concept, you know. I get that they got raised together and they were raised like poorly. Like I like all that stuff. Her relationship with Yuta in JJK 0 was like kind of cool. Her power is really cool when she becomes strong like Toji. I really like that. Like her fight scenes are really cool. Like actually, to be honest, all of that puts her like slightly above Yuji. There's the fact that she's kind of like adversarial, not adversarial, that's not the best way to put it. Like she doesn't like tolerate Gojo's shit. Like she's kind of the straight man to Gojo in a way. Like every now and then you see like everyone will be like laughing at him or like find him funny, but like she'll be kind of straight about it, which I like, especially because toward the end of the fight with Sukuna, she like has this reaction where she's like kind of happy and stuff about like Gojo winning. Like, oh, this is like kind of cool, you know. She's like revealing her like that she actually cares about Gojo, you know. It's great. I'll put her in B, you know. She's not A, but she's not as bad as Yuji, but, you know, they're in the same tier. All right. Inumaki, voice guy. I mean, he doesn't really have much of a character. He loses his arm. He's got a cool voice, like a cool like ability with his voice. I is B tier, you know, quintessential B tier. Panda. I like Panda a lot. I'll put him in A. He's like to be honest, I don't know if there's any JJ characters that I like that much. Like I was going to say Gojo I like a lot. But basically what I was going to say is that he's funny, you know, like Nobara in a way. Like I kind of like him as a funny presence to have around. I don't know. He's cool, you know? I think one thing is that I like Panda. I don't like whatever the other pandas are, you know, it's like this sister and brother. I don't like them that much. I like Panda. He's great. Yuta's cool. He's A. He's kind of like what I feel like a more typical protagonist of a story where it's like he's more capable. He's more, everyone like is putting the responsibility on him. He's like clearly going to be the strongest at the end of the story, you know, but he also has the cute stuff with Maki and he has his friends in the second year. He's got the stuff with Rika. He had like a whole movie and a whole like a prequel dedicated to him, you know. I like him. Yuta's pretty great. Then we have Mei. Mei feels like a little bit of a non-character. I mean, not really. She's definitely B. We see her like twice. We see her in that school festival thing. We see her like, I think very briefly in the Shibuya incident where she's like shooting off screen or something. And then she dies at the end. I think she's like perfectly fine. She's like a little bit, not bratty. What's like the best word? She's like cocky or like thinks other people are below her. Like when she's talking to Nobara and she like kind of thinks of her as below her. And obviously she doesn't really like Maki either, but she does. It's her sister, obviously. I don't know, she's fine. I feel like there's going to be a lot of characters in the B tier, which are like, these are fine, perfectly fine characters that I don't really care for that much. Anyway, Momo, I would say very similar, you know. I like her aesthetic, like the bright blonde hair is very different from like everyone else, or at least it feels that way when I watch it in the anime. I like her broom, but to be honest, she doesn't really do much. The aesthetic carries her very far. Miwa, I love Miwa. Oh my god, she's so great. Now, there's not that much reason to it. I don't know. Firstly, I like her like blue hair and stuff. Second, I like whenever she uses simple domain. Thirdly, she's like one of the funny, like lighthearted characters, like Nobara and Panda, which I like a lot. And it's just funny. Like, I think of like useless Miwa from like season 1 of the anime. And, like, that's so funny. Her relationship with what's his name? Mechamaru is great. One of the most like saddest bits of JJK is when like they're on the train together as he's dying and she's like sad about it, and I'm like, oh. She also feels like she doesn't feel strong enough because Mechamaru had to like save her. You know, I like her. Miwa was pretty great. I'll put her in A tier, definitely. Oh, then we have Mechamaru, who, to be honest, he's very close to A. Like, I like him. His stuff in Shibuya, like, he has a whole like fight dedicated to him. It was like a kind of a cool fight, but he is like the MVP of Shibuya. You know, he's transmitting all the relevant information. You know, he announces that Gojo is sealed, and he has his scenes with Miwa. He like keeps Utahime and like all her like kids, I guess, like the what do you call, like, students? That's the word I'm looking for. All the students out of the fight to keep them safe. And he's like orchestrating stuff. He is cool, you know, cool guy. This is Noritoshi Kamo, the blood guy, I guess. I don't know about him. He's like slightly below average, I guess. I don't know if I barely remembered this guy existed. And I think he shows up like twice. Once he shows up when he's in the Kyoto like games thing in season 1, or like whatever chapters those are. It's fine. I like hardly remember him. He shows up at the end of Shibuya, and there's like a joke or a gag about like the villain Noritoshi Kamo having the same name as him. I thought that was a funny gag, but it doesn't really do anything to his character. And then I think if I'm understanding correctly, I was a bit confused in this part of the manga. I think he shows up later during the culling games and fights alongside Maki when Kenjaku like takes over his family or something. I don't know. I was confused about him. He doesn't really show up much, and whenever he does show up, I'm like, I don't know about this guy. I don't really like him that much. So C. But it's not as bad as Megumi, so, you know, we'll put him in C. Todo, obviously S. Like, he's hilarious, you know, and comedy is apparently what I like the most in these characters for some reason. I mean, it's like another thing like Gojo, where it's like everyone is obviously universally going to agree that like Gojo is the best character, and Todo is also one of the best characters. He has like relationship with Yuji. He's like over the top kind of persona. He's like just like the niche things about him, like the fact that he's such a big fan of like what's her name, like Takatan, whatever her name is. I don't remember the idol girl. Like that whole story. He's just such a lively presence. His technique is like awesome. Whenever he's in a fight, it's like the coolest moment ever. Whenever he shows up to like save Yuji and all like be like, I'm here to support you, brother, I'm like, this is like the best thing ever. Todo is absolutely fantastic. He's no Gojo. Gojo's a character like transcends JJK, where it's like he is better than like everything else in JJK. Todo is like probably the best character in JJK outside of Gojo, where it's like I really like him a lot. But we'll see. Maybe there'll be others that I've forgotten about that go higher, but we love Todo. This random assistant manager guy, I barely remember him. He shows up with Todo in Shibuya, I believe, and stops Nobara from dying, so we love him for that. But I'd say he's barely a character. I like it's gonna be for like the most superficial reason, but he has like a twin or like a sister or something. I'm pretty sure she's here. I saw it when I was skimming over it. Is it her, I think? She's mainly because she's like cute. Like visually, I'm like, oh, she's like really cute. Beyond that, I don't have a really good reason, but we'll put her in B. And she like shows up and gets attacked by the hand guy and fights with Nobara or something. It's just like fine, we like her. But her brother, you know, kind of boring. Junpei, we hate him. He's down there with Megumi, where this was the most boring stretch of JJK. I barely remember anything about his character. I think it was like he could see cursed spirits, but maybe that was like Mahito's influence. I don't quite remember, but he could see them and he was being bullied. Boring. Okay, we don't like him. Principal Yaga, he is borderline A and S. We'll put him in A for now, probably right at the top of A. What can I say? You know, he's just like, he's the stereotypical like old guy, mentor figure. He's really kind. He has a very kind heart. He's like a father figure to like Gojo and Geto. And he has like his own family. Like he has a bunch of children in Panda. And we get that one chapter toward the end where it's like him and all his children is created. And he like created a replica of someone's like younger brother or kid or something. And he has a big heart. We like him. He's fantastic, you know. And it was very sad when he died. One of the saddest chapters was Yaga's death. So, yeah. Okay, we have Nanami. Nanami is a character that a lot of people really like. I think I like him a lot less than other people, but I mean, how can I describe what I like about Nanami? I think I like Nanami is, man, there's a few things. Nanami is an interesting character. He's like, on one hand, he is very competent, which we like. It's like cool when you have like a competent character. Like whenever Nanami shows up, you're like, okay, I feel like there's someone safe here, you know, I feel like we have this reliable guy here to fight with us. Again, he has like a big heart, you know, he's there. He like helps out Yuji a bunch. He obviously has his friend that died when he was younger and obviously cared about him a lot. There's the whole element of like, he wants to leave, like doesn't really want to be in danger. He doesn't really want to be a sorcerer, but he kind of like feels like he has to, because again, this could be me like misremembering his character, but like I think back to when he was in, again, a bunch of anime memories for me, because that's the stuff that I remember the most, but when there was the scene where he was like at the bakery or something, and he like dispelled the spirit from that girl who was like had heavy shoulders or something. I feel like maybe it could just be misremembering his character, but I feel like his character is someone who feels like, I have the power to help. I probably should help, even if I know that it's probably not in my best interest and I don't really want to. Yeah. And there's one fight at the end of Shibuya where he's fighting all those cursed spirits and thinks about him being on vacation at the beach. I thought that was really cool. So Nanami's pretty great. Utahime, we love Utahime. She is, you know what? She's definitely S. And it's for like, there's characters in JJK that like have very brief kind of, they don't really do much, they don't show up much, but they have a very large impact. Utahime is definitely one of those characters, which is like, her character is carried for me by the fact that we see her when she's younger. She's very like, she's not very confident. She's not very strong. Like Mei Mei is like significantly guiding her around as like a mentor figure to her almost, even though they're the same age or whatever, or same grade. Well, not grade, I guess, but the same year in school. And we're like, okay, this like unconfident girl who's like going around. She has like somewhat of a, like, she has powers and stuff, but she's not very good or confident. And she's obviously nothing compared to all the people around her. She's no like, she doesn't have Shoko's healing. She doesn't have Mei Mei's like skills. She doesn't have Gojo's obviously techniques or anything. Just Geto's like powerful like abilities. Like whatever. She's like kind of like a normal person in those flashbacks and not very competent. And then we see her as a teacher, and it's like, this is really cute because it's like, we know this teacher when she was younger. We know how unconfident she was, and here she is like guiding the next generation. I think it's like super cool. And when she's doing the dance and like all the stuff for Gojo's fight against Sukuna, I'm like, oh my goodness, Utahime is doing something cool. It's just fantastic. We like her a lot. Mei Mei, I mean, she's probably B tier. We like, I don't know what I'm saying, we. I like Mei Mei in that she has a cool design. Like, well, at least when she's older, she has a cool design where her like hair's in front of her and her hair's behind her and you can't tell which way she's looking. That's really cool. Her power is like kind of cool where she can like see through her crows. That was really pivotal, I guess, during the final fight with Sukuna, but you know, pivotalness doesn't really mean interesting, but it was interesting. She's all about money, and she like runs away from the fight. These are like mildly interesting things. I think it's just nothing that like propels her to be a bit higher. She's kind of the same character. Like unlike Utahime, who like you see when she's younger and unconfident, then you see her in a different context when she's older and she's like a little bit more confident. She's like a teacher now. Mei Mei is kind of like the same when she's younger and older, and it's like, oh, there's not really much growth there or anything interesting there. So I don't know. She's B. We like her, but not that much. Then we have the principal from Kyoto, who apparently his name is Gakuganji, who I've never pronounced that ever in my life. He's fine. I would have put him lower earlier, like in the story, like say what up the anime has adapted so far, because he's like the very typical like rule follower, like old man who's like integrated in the old like jujutsu society, and he has like an opposition to Gojo because he serves the higher ups, and it's like, okay, boring. But then we get later on that like Yaga gives him the information about how to make people like Panda, or like cursed toys or objects, or whatever, like Panda. And he kind of keeps it to himself. And it's like, oh, it's like a cute element to his character, whereas like he follows the rules, but like he kind of knows, like he has a good moral compass to him. And it's like, oh, you know, cute. So we like him. He's better than he would have been otherwise. We'll put him in B tier for now. Then we have Kusakabe, who is absolutely going in S tier. Kusakabe is someone who I didn't even know existed. Like he was probably in season 1 of the anime, but I don't remember him. But he shows up in Shibuya. He's a coward in Shibuya. I don't know if coward is the best word, but he's kind of like wanting to avoid fighting, I guess, in Shibuya, which is cool. He shows up toward the end of Shibuya and kind of like defends all the students from Kenjaku using like the simple domain or whatever. I don't know what it's called. The technique that Miwa has and he has. Like he does that. He's like super cool. And then during the Sukuna versus Gojo fight, and then in the aftermath, that's when he becomes one of my favorites, which is like, firstly, he has all the knowledge, like everyone refers to him as like, oh, like we don't know what's happening, but Kusakabe, break it down, what's happening here in this fight? I'm like, this is super cool. It's also like the fact that he's like, he is hesitant, and he's like, he kind of just like, he knows the answer, but doesn't want to really say it, because it's like, why, stop annoying me, you know? I like that element to his character. And then he has like a whole fight with Sukuna. It's like the coolest thing ever, where it's like, everyone else is down, and he's the only one who can fight right now, and he's like using his simple domain, or like, oh, it's called simple domain, right? Wait. Simple domain. Yeah, he's using the simple domain in his fighting, and it's like, this is just super duper cool. So Kusakabe, surprisingly, like he shot up out of nowhere, like especially during that final stuff where I'm like, I like him a lot. So he was fantastic. And he's funny as well, you know, like he's got like the funny element where it's like, he's funny. That's all I can say. We love him. Ichiji, he's like an assistant manager guy. I feel like he barely shows up. I associate him with Nanami, like him and Nanami are always hanging around. They're obviously friends. But to be honest, there's not much to him. Like, when he died, I didn't really feel anything at all. I guess he didn't die, though. I think he, like... No, he definitely came back because he was there in the Sukuna versus Gojo fight, and he had this whole thing where Gojo was like, you know, I can only... I can trust you because you're, like, you know, I know you. I don't know that. Actually, that kind of pushes him up a little bit. I did like that cute stuff with Gojo, where it's like Gojo was trusting him a lot, and he, like, didn't believe in him, and he's the only one who can trust to, like, to maintain the barrier around the fight or whatever. Like, I like him, you know. That reminded me a little bit of why I like him. So there we go. Geto is, like... This is an interesting case. I don't know where I'm gonna put him because Geto, when he's younger, is real cool. Like when he's trying to fight for Hanai and is like kind of the good guy to Gojo's like immoral guy when they're younger in hidden inventory. I like him a lot there. Him like fighting and losing against Toji and like all that stuff is really good. And even the aftermath where it's like he's having a breakdown because of everything that happens with Amanai and the fact that humans don't really care about like sorcerer people like Amanai and the fact that she was just killed killed just for the sake of like this religion who like people who don't understand when they're all clapping like for his dead body that he was like who was a girl that he really liked before. Like it's just this stuff is all really good. But then he becomes like the most comically like stereotypical villain with like the weakest motivation ever of like I hate monkeys. I hate humans who don't have powers because I'm a bad guy now, and I just don't like it. Like the issue with him is that we see him twice. Like we see him during the flashbacks in Hidden Inventory, and he's really good. And then the problem is that the only other time we see him, if I'm remembering correctly, is during JJK 0, which has a very different tone. And it feels very discontinuous from the Geto that we saw when he was younger. Like, he feels a lot more cartoonish. He feels a lot more over-the-top evil. He's saying things like monkey. Like, it's just not good. Like, JJK 0 really pulls him down. And the problem is that that's, like, the majority of the time we see him. Like, is JJK 0. Especially in the main story, you know? I mean, sorry, especially if we discount the flashback stuff. So, I don't know. Is he D? He's probably not D. I'll put him in C. You know, the Hidden Inventory drags him up a little bit. Anyway, next up, we have Kenjaku. So Kenjaku, I think, he's probably either top of B or bottom of A. I'd probably put him in the bottom of A because I do like him a lot. He's like a villain. Like he takes over people's bodies. He has like an evil mastermind plan. But really his motivation is that he's just lived a long life and is like really curious about things because like how else can he like entertain himself? And I like that motivation. I think it's kind of cool. There's the whole element of like him being a fan of comedy or like having that cool interaction with, what's his name? Takaba? Is that his name? Oh my god, my screen just got really small. Takaba JJK. Yes, that was all cool. Like that added an element to his character that I liked. And there's also the fact that he's like really knowledgeable. Like he's the one whose plan it was to seal Gojo, which was obviously a very important part of like everything just coming together. And so I don't know, he's cool. We like him, you know. We don't get too much of him, to be honest, besides like outside of all that. But that would probably be why he's not any higher. Like he's not like the highest of A tier or anything like that. But he barely makes it. Okay, he's in A tier. We like him. Sukuna is an interesting case as well. If you would ask me during Shibuya, I probably would have put him in S tier. But the stuff at the end, I think, drags him down a bit. He'll definitely be an A tier. Sukuna is interesting because initially, to me, he's kind of portrayed as like not necessarily evil, but he is the strongest. And he like doesn't really care about people because of just how much stronger he is than everyone else. And like he kind of gets portrayed as a genius as well, which is kind of cool. Where it's like in Shibuya specifically where they're talking about his domain expansion, the fact that it doesn't have a barrier and it's like how you paint like I know I've said this a million times to watch my other stuff, but where it's just like he's painting on a canvas without an actual canvas, and it's like so cool. Oh my god, I really like that metaphor. But all this stuff is great, you know. I like him. He's cool. He's like all that stuff is the reason I like him. Now the issue is that toward the end, he kind of becomes boring where it's like, oh, he's just like fighting a bunch and there's like not much to it. At the end, he like has a revelation where he like, I don't know exactly why, but he wants to, like if he got reincarnated again, then he'll want to live a life with more love in it, or like choose Utahime or someone else, who the other girl was, and live. And none of this really lands. I don't really feel it much emotionally, so I think I'll just, you know, it drags him down a little bit from S to A, so I'll put him in A. Next we have Mahito. I don't like Mahito. I don't like any of his like philosophical stuff about like I like the we are the real human stuff. That's fine. The like I am your opposite, Yuji, and I don't the true meaning or shape of a soul is this, and he's so boring. I don't like him at all. He's also, whenever he turns into other like forms using his like soul manipulation, it looks really ugly, and I don't like that. I don't know. Is he worse than Megumi? Almost certainly, yeah. He's probably my least favorite character. I don't like Mahito at all. Jogo's kind of cool. I'll put him in A tier. He is definitely a villain, but he also like likes his friends. Like he gets sad when like Hanami dies, and obviously he like has that motivation of like we are the real humans because like he kind of feels bad that he's like being treated as someone who is lesser when he shouldn't be. I don't know, it's kind of cool. I like him, Jogo, and he has a cool fight with Sukuna, and it's awesome. So, you know, we like Jogo. He's great. Hanami is like, he's probably the second most interesting of like the bunch of characters with Jogo and the ensemble that he has around him. I guess Hanami's a girl, right? I should say her or whatever, but what do I like about Hanami? I mean, she's like perfectly fine. I guess in a similar way to like Yuji and Mei and Inumaki, it's like she has like a cool fight with Gojo, a cool fight with Todo and Yuji, but to be honest, not much more than that. So I guess in B tier. Dagon again is like the stereotypical thing like Hanami, where it's like he has a cool fight with Toji, but beyond that, it's not much of a character. I'll probably put him in B, C purely because of that. Like I enjoyed watching him, but there wasn't too much to him. This random special grade from like season 1, I don't know, is not much. I mean, it was like kind of funny. Like it just showed up and was really powerful, and it was like a special grade, so I'll put it in C. It was like kind of funny. Choso, I like Choso a lot. And his brother stuff, like whenever he mentions that call me big brother, and it's like really cute. Obviously saves not Toji, saves Yuji at the end. That was really cool. I don't know, he has a cool like fun interactions with Yuki. I like him. He's great. We like him a lot. Now the brothers are like actually kind of cool. I'll put him in B because they don't get too much to them. But this brother was like, I'll put them together. I like this guy more because it's just really funny. And whenever he's smiling in the manga, it's like hilarious. But I don't know, they kind of like wacky design, like wacky fights. Like we don't really know too much about them, but I don't know, they're fun. They have like, they're a little quirky, you know, in their conversations, and they cry and stuff. They care about each other. I like it. Uraume. Probably A. I like Uraume. She like shows up randomly out of nowhere in the middle of Shibuya. And we're like, who is this? You know, Sukuna, what's happening? And she has like cute interactions. I remember there was one specifically that I pointed out when I was reviewing the manga, which is that she like, Sukuna is like kind of praising her for like being prepared for his arrival or something. And she's like super happy about it. I'm like, that's super cute. You know, she actually is really proud or like happy that Sukuna likes her. She has a cool ice power. She's really powerful. I liked how she gets like annoyed whenever people disrespect Sukuna. I like her. She's kind of cool. We'll put her in A. Like Yuji's grandpa? I don't know. He's like he's fine, perfectly fine. Probably similar to Yuji. I barely remember anything about him except the fact that he cared about giving meaning to life or death or something. I don't know. He's fine. B. Sumiki? Terrible. She's not really a character, I guess, because we see her like, do we ever see her like talk? I guess there was like a flashback in season 1, I think, where she was like maybe a part of it. I don't know. But all her stuff in the manga is like boring and it's like illogical. Like I thought the whole time I was thinking, obviously she's like taken over, and then it's meant to be revealed that she was taken over by someone. I don't know. We don't like Sumiki. Not good. Junpei's mum? I don't know. Not much of a character. Didn't she liked movies or something, right? Or was that Junpei? I don't know. If she liked movies, I'll put her in B, because that's like kind of cool. If she didn't, I'll put her in C. But I think she did, so I'll put her in B, okay? We love her. She's great. She's not actually great. She's fine. B tier. The coat rack guy, I don't know, C. He was like kind of funny, but he didn't really do much. Miguel. Now, Miguel's a character where it's like, he literally fights Gojo in JJK 0, and which is insane. And one of the many reasons why JJK 0 is kind of really goofy and weird. But I don't know, he's like cool. He hangs out with Yuta for some reason. He shows up in the fight with Sukuna and has this cool like panel where he's like doing this cool like sidestep thing, and I'm like, this is sick. So for that, we'll put him in B. Haruta, he's like a little annoying, but he's like also kind of funny a little bit. I like his design. I like I do like that he's a coward and like runs away and stuff, but to be honest, there's not really too much to him, so I'll put him in C. I don't like him that much. These two girls I like a lot. I've said this a million times if you watch me talk about JJK, like anime or manga or anything, but they have the cutest story where, well, not the cutest, but like a really sad story, which is that, you know, they're little girls and they're suffering, and then Geto, a villain, saves them, and because of that, they live this terrible life down the wrong path, and in the end, they just die just like it's unceremoniously to Sukuna, and it's really, really sad, and I feel bad for them, and I like them a lot. And it is very funny that they're just treated as one character, because they basically are one character. I don't think we know anything about them separately, except one of them dies first, then the other is left to suffer for a little bit before they die too. So, yep. This person, guy, girl, I don't remember the gender, but they're with one of Geto's like henchmen, basically. I think they're perfectly fine. They show up in the final fight, and they have like a cool few moments. Not much to them. Rika, this is an interesting thing where it's like Rika kind of has two people, which is the younger Rika, who was in the movie in JJK 0, like the manga bit. And then there's like the actual like monster version of Rika. I don't know. I feel bad for her. Like, I like that she's kind of obsessed with Yuta. It's like a cool character thing. I like that when she's crying at the end, when she thinks that Yuta has died because it's been split in two. Perfectly fine, I think. We'll put her in B tier. Shoko, I like a lot. I basically, all the people, like, Mei Mei is probably the weakest, but I still like her a lot. All the people from Hidden Inventory are pretty great. Shoko's cool. She's kind of, like, nonchalant, and she has a cool power where she's, like, the healer, and she It's just this, it was this brief thing the anime did, but it was like when Geto and Gojo are fighting, and then she like runs away because she's like, oh, I'm not dealing with this. I thought that was really funny and characterized her really cutely. It's like another thing where we see her when she's younger. She's a lot more like carefree and kind of like, I don't know. She's like kind of feels like a kid, you know, like a little bit like a teenager or whatever. And then later on we see her and she's more professional and she's like a in the like doctor kind of position. I like that kind of transition. I like Shoko. She's great. Haibara, we barely see anything about him. He's anything of him, but he's very like, you know, high energy, very happy. Put him in B, perfectly fine. Amanai or Riko is apparently her name. I don't remember that, but she is probably S. Hidden Inventory is fantastic. She has a bunch of fun interactions with Gojo. She's like lighthearted and funny, and she has the whole motivation of like her parents died when she was younger, and like she always feels like she's an outsider, and now she kind of like, she, despite the fact that she's like willing initially to become a star plasma vessel, she wants to live life now, you know, she wants to be happy. She wants to have her life with Kuroi, who's like a pseudo mother figure. And it's really sad when she dies, and I like her a lot, so we love Riko. Then we have Kuroi, I think that's her name, right? The girl, basically the woman who's looking after Riko. She doesn't do too much, but you know, I was invested in her. She had that small relationship thing where it's like she feels like a mother to Amanai. We'll put her in B. Toji. We love Toji. Toji is one of the best characters in JJK, and not just because he's cool, but he is super cool. You know, his powers are super cool. He has a super cool fight against Gojo. He's a super cool fight against Megumi. Whenever he's in the story and mentioned, like he's like a ghost that's haunting the story, and it's fantastic. Like when Gojo mentions him or thinks of him during the fight with Sukuna, it's like super cool. He's great. Now, the real reason I like him is that he is like the prototypical example of like someone who is like a story you've seen before, but it's done really well here, which is that he's a guy who grows up suffering because he doesn't fit in with his family, because he doesn't have the power that they have, and they all look down on him or whatever. And he like runs away or whatever, lives his own life, and then comes back at the end of like this story and is like a pivotal character now like living his own independent life. And the reason that he dies in the end is because he was trying to prove himself that he doesn't need the jujutsu sorcery stuff, that he basically, when he talks about it, he sees like Gojo at the end, and the reason he keeps fighting when he knows he should have run away is because Gojo is the pinnacle of jujutsu society, which is that everything that hated him and that he hated when he was younger, and he wants to reject it, and because of that he tries to fight and dies, and it's tragic and it's fantastic. I think Toji is legitimately a really good character. Probably the third best. I think Gojo, Todo, and then Toji are probably my order. I like them a lot. One of the most like emotional moments is his death. I think is really, really well done. Who I believe is the guy who was with Toji. He was actually kind of cool. I'll put him in A tier. He seemed like a very like detached like business guy who's like getting in his old age a little bit and is like, I don't want to get too involved in this stuff with this girl. I liked him. He was like kind of cool for those reasons. Not too much to him, but the brief part that we get of him is cool. His interactions with Toji are great. The kind of like detached kind of nature from all the emotional stuff is kind of great. We like him. Ino, this is the guy who, I don't know who he is, like really. He shows up in Shibuya, I think. He fights with Nanami, or is like a student of Nanami or something. And then again, he shows up toward the end and in the fight with Sukuna, and constantly whenever Nanami is mentioned, he's mentioned too. I don't know. Doesn't really have much to him. I don't remember him that much. We'll put him in C. Wee, I don't really like him. He's like a little annoying. I like the stuff at the end actually with Sukuna fight where he's like teleporting people around, and he like gives, I think he like stares at Sukuna at one point and gives like a menacing stare, and I'm like, this is kind of funny. But to be honest, there's not much to him. Now Obito. So this is the guy where it's like, I like him as a character, but I don't think he's very good as the head of the Zenin clan. Like I was hoping for someone with more aura or more like more of a reputation or be more serious. I don't know. He was like kind of goofy, and I like him. Like I'll put him in B. Like he's like perfectly, I think he's pretty good. Probably near the top of B. But I mean, before I just say but and just say like I wish he was someone else like the head of the Zenin clan, I'll just say like, what can I say about him? He's cool. He has a cool fight. Like his ability is like goofy, but also kind of cool. I mean, I'll just leave it at that, you know, B tier. Grasshopper guy. The thing is, I hate the episode in the chapter with Grasshopper guy because it's like taken away from like all the other Shibuya stuff that I want to see more. But he is kind of funny, and he thinks he's like super smart and freaks out when he realizes that like Yuji is also like probably smarter than him. So I'll put him in C, you know, he's not terrible. Then we have like, so I guess these two are like, to me, the same character basically, but this one's like basically a non-character. I'll put him in D. The old woman, actually I'll put her in C because she has the cool flashback stuff with Gojo and like the whole balance of the world changing when Gojo was born, and when she like assassinates the father by pretending to be the daughter. I don't know, it's just like kind of got something to her character, I guess. This guy is honestly probably pretty similar. He has that one fight with Yuji and Fushiguro, and he's like really weird looking. We see him when he's younger and he's like torturing people. I don't know, we'll put him in C. He's fine, but not really that good. Maharaga, barely a character, but whenever he shows up, it's like super cool, so B. Yuki, we love Yuki. She'll be an A. She is the inspiration for Todo. You know, she is the girl who made Todo who he is. She has one of the coolest fights in JJK, which is like alongside Choso and Tengen versus Kenjaku. I thought that was really cool. She's kind of like lighthearted and funny and goofy, and she has that one interaction with Geto when he's younger, and she's like kind of teasing him and stuff. We like her. Okay. So, that was Yuki. Now, next up we have... Oh, no, not Sukuna. Jesus Christ. Akari. So, whatever his name was, as his girlfriend, I assume, or just a random girl who's a friend calls him. He is pretty good. Now, the question is he B or is he A? I actually don't know. Probably A. Like, I kind of like him quite a bit. What do I like about him? What do I like about Akari? He's got the whole, like, pump up kind of, like, feeling the heat thing I like. He's very, very combative, very, very intense. Also kind of funny. His powers like kind of funny. But he's a B or A. Probably A, you know. We like him. Akari. Kirara, she's cool. I liked her fight with Megumi and Panda. I don't like her that much, but I like her. I mean, to be honest, there's not really too much to say about her. She's kind of cool. Put her in B. Naoya? I hate Naoya. Okay, I'm being too harsh. When he shows up, it's like kind of cool. I like him. When he's having the fight in the beginning of the culling game, like before the culling game stuff, whatever the Itadori execution stuff, I thought that was like, okay, I'd probably put him in B or C. But then he comes back as this cursed spirit, and oh my god, those are the most boring chapters in my life. I'll put him in D just for that. That really, really drags it down. Oh my god. And Tengen is like, oh, he had like really like a lot of potential to be really interesting, but he ended up just being kind of dull. I'll put him in C. And he's like he comes across as like very naive, and he isn't really as powerful as he like kind of seems, and Kenjaku beats him pretty easily. Like Kenjaku has a cool line against him where he's talking about how you haven't lived a life like I have. And I was like, oh yeah, true. So that was kind of cool about Tengen. But besides that, would have been C, you know, we wouldn't really like him. And he wanted to kill an eye, but he didn't really, so it's fine. So all the Zenin people, I don't like it. I don't even know who this is. Like some random Zenin guy, okay? Jin, Yuji's dad, we barely see him. I'll put him in C because there was nothing offensive about him. I think this is like one of the flying ladies for, like, she flew in the culling games. I don't know. C, there was nothing bad about her, I don't think. Hubba, this is the guy with the helicopter hair. He was kind of funny. We'll also put him in C. Remy, she's the girl that like Fushiguro was with during the culling games. She got betrayed, but she was like kind of naive about it, and then she like immediately just like wants to switch and like have Megumi protect her. I don't know. I like her. She's probably better than the other culling game people, but you know, I don't like her that much. We'll put her in C. Higuruma is pretty great. His ability is really cool. His fight with Sukuna is super cool. He has like probably the least interesting thing about him is his like motivation, or his like, I don't know, thematic stuff about how does he deserve to be punished because he like killed people because the justice wasn't getting done. I don't know, but I like him a lot, so I'll put him in A. I also like the way he looks. Like his design is like kind of cool and very like recognizable. Reggie? Oh, this is one of the culling game people, I think, who fights Megumi and is like the one who tanks like the big large elephant or whatever, like Max Elephant or something. I said they're fine. They're like a little annoying, but not annoying enough to be in D tier, I don't think. Angel, it's funny they call it Angel. I think it's more Hana. Angel's like a voice we hear occasionally, but is she S? Probably. Let me think. Angel has, let me reason it out before I decide A or S. Angel has a really, really cool backstory, really cute backstory as well, where it's like she's being forced to be raised by this cursed spirit who like wants her to see her as her mother, and then Megumi shows up and saves her, and because of that, that's kind of what brings her into like a happy life now. And because of that, she kind of wants to make other people happy, and she wants to like help other people to be more like Megumi and like help people. And that's super cute. And then when she comes back like into the story, like in the actual during the culling games, and she's like an adult now, she's like very like, I don't know, she's pleasant. Like she's very like positive, and she is funny. Like, you know, I love comedy so much, and she clearly has a crush on Megumi and is like too nervous to say anything about it. And you know what, now that I'm thinking, she's probably not S, but she's probably right at the top of A. I like Hana a lot. And Angel is like not really a character. I don't know, they're like a voice that is showing up and protecting Hana sometimes, or like saying stuff to like defend her. I don't know, we'll put her in A. Kashimo, I don't know, this is probably like a B, where it's like there's some good stuff. Like, I like the whole element of this being an old person who was back really strong back in their day, who were the strongest of their time, but then never really got to challenge anyone that they thought was stronger than them. And is there really much beyond that? I don't know. Their fight with Sukuna was kind of cool, but like, to be honest, the coolest thing they ever did, actually, no, now that I think about it, their fight with Akari was really cool. I did like that fight a lot. But the coolest thing they ever did was like show up in the final panel of when Gojo died. And it was like, with Gojo Satoru dead, next enters Kashimo or something. Like, oh, it's like super cool. But we'll put her in B, him in B. Also, he looks kind of feminine. And for a long time, I thought it was a girl, but I think it is a guy. But anyway, B. Takaba, comedy guy. We love him. He's an A. He's hilarious. What can I say? He, like, it also is unconfident, and he, like, is a struggling comedian, and we like him. And his fight with Kenjaku is awesome. Their relationship at the end with, like, kind of, like, you know, they're 1-2 in a comedy duo, and when he, like, kind of thanks Takaba at the end for, like, giving him a good, like, life and at the end, or a good moment at the end. I like him. He's great. Takaba. We love him. Funny. Cockroach spirit. I actually kind of like the cockroach spirit. It was, like, the most evil thing in this whole thing, where there's, like, no ambiguity. This is an evil character. And they're literally a cockroach, and they literally are very demonic looking and look straight out of Berserk, so we like him, so A. I don't know, I didn't know this guy had a name, but this is like head laser beam guy, in my opinion. I like this stuff with Yuta. It was like kind of cool. He's like back and forth and wanting to have a good fight, but to be honest, there's not much to him beyond that, in my opinion, so we'll put him in B. And I think Sukuna kills him, and it was like kind of sad, but yeah, B. Sky Lady. She apparently also has a name, Uro. Kind of similar, to be honest, where that 4-way fight was like super cool. This is very funny that the cockroach is like my favorite of the bunch, but cool power. Like, I don't know if there's too much beyond that, but we'll put her in B. Sumo guy. I liked the sumo fight with Maki, but I didn't really like him as a character much. He doesn't really stand out. And I think this is like katana guy, who is also pretty similar, where it's like, I like him. He's like kind of funny. He shows up and talking about katanas and stuff, and is a katana sword expert. But not really much to him. So C. Then Yorizu. So this is like Sukuna's girlfriend. Potentially the other person, like in life, where it's like Utahime, and potentially Yorizu is like that other person who's walking away at the end of Sukuna's dream when he's being reincarnated, potentially. She's not bad. She's not in DLC. She's also not particularly good. She's talking about love and how she's going to teach Sukuna love. The flashback chapter is probably the coolest part of her character, where it's like she like is really strong, and therefore she can like kind of lounge around and be naked and stuff in this random clan. And then, not random clan, I guess they're pretty important. And then Sukuna comes up and she like hugs him because he's lonely, and it's like super cute. So probably B, top of B, to be honest. And that's it. Oh my god, that's all the characters. Let's organize S. To be honest, I think it is pretty organized already. Gojo is the best. Todo's next. Toji's probably next. And of these three, to be honest, Utahime probably is next. I like Amanai a lot. Actually, maybe I like Utahime more, and then Utahime more, and then Riko, Amanai, and then Kusakabe, and then Choso. That's my S tier. And for people who are skipping to the end and want to see just the nice zoomed in shot, let me get it perfect for you guys. There we go. There's my list. So that's it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.